the 15 members of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, announced that their planned new currency, named the ECO, would be introduced in the year 2020. But at a joint news conference on December 21st, 2019, 6 months after the announcement by ECOWAS, President Alassane Ouattara of Ivory Coast and French President Macron declared that in 2020, the 8 French-speaking West African countries, which is Benin, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, Mali, Niger, Senegal, Togo, and Portuguese-speaking Guinea-Bissau, will stop using their shared currency, the West African CFA franc, and replaced it instead with a new currency, also called the ECO. Now, this statement surprised the other 7 ECOWAS countries, which are the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Ghana, Nigeria, and part of Cameroon. Since it directly contradicted the roadmap to a new currency set out only 6 months before, ECOWAS leaders had set a goal of achieving a monetary and currency union by late 2020. However, unfortunately, the COVID pandemic and failure of many countries to meet the criteria set for launching the single currency led to the postponement of the adoption of the ECO to 2027. So a whole lot of confusion here on what's actually going on and why 8 countries in the ECOWAS have decided to back out of the currency. If the ECO currency name was meant for the 15 member states of ECOWAS, why then are only 8 francophone countries, including Guinea-Bissau, planning to adopt the name ECO? And why is France involved? In May 2020, following the December 2019 announcement by President Ouattara and the President of France, Macron, the French Council of Ministers passed Bill 2986, which formally allowed WAEMU member states to abandon the West African CFA franc for the ECO. The bill seeks to remove 3 controversial clauses of the West African CFA franc zone. 1. The name of the currency, CFA franc, will be changed to ECO. 2. Representatives of France will be withdrawn from the central bank's decision-making bodies. And thirdly, the WAEMU's central bank will no longer be required to deposit 50% of its foreign currency reserves with the French Treasury. Now, at a surface level, the reform appears to recognize the current challenges and problems with the CFA franc and attempts to take meaningful steps towards fixing them. Now, the changes, however, appears to only be symbolic. The changes do not significantly address the central issue of the CFA franc and its monetary policy. So like the Francophone Colonial Pact before it, the following remains the same. 1. The ECO will still be backed by the euro and will operate under a fixed exchange rate. France will continue its role as guarantor. Now, this change allows France to wield power over its reserves, but rids it of the obligation to bail out former CFA zone members in the event of a crisis or so forth. So instead, countries will be referred to the IMF. France still has the first right to buy or reject any natural resources found in the land of these Francophone speaking countries. And in the event of government contracts, French companies should be considered first before any other consideration is given to other organizations or other companies. Overall, like in the colonial pact, France still has the dominant and privileged position in Francophone-speaking Africa. Almost all the major utilities in Côte d'Ivoire and other African Francophone countries, water, electricity, telephone, transport, ports, and major banks are run by French companies or of French interests. So this new ECO that will be used by West African Safe Zone, therefore, will remain subject to France. So why are the Francophone countries agreeing to this voluntary monetary servitude? Are these French-speaking countries still under the control and influence of France? Because French corporations and African elites are the only beneficiaries of the Safe Zone currency. In short, the colonial pact has created a legal mechanism under which France obtains a special place in the political and economic life of its former colonies. And it seems they want to continue the same status quo. In essence, a rebranding of CFA without actually addressing the problems. So the creation of a separate Francophone West African ECO serves to tie these countries more closely to France, more so than their West African Anglophone speaking countries. So critics have seen the ECO as little more than a name change. France apparently sees it as much more, a possible step towards a single currency for the whole of West Africa. Certainly, the unilateral Francophone French move in December 2019 to remain the CFA to ECO has sown division in West Africa, pitting the French-speaking countries against the English-speaking countries. The decision clearly conflicts. It clearly conflicts with the collective decision reached in Abuja in 2019. And this is a clear situation, a clear situation of an ECOWAS order being challenged by the counter order of President Ouattara, therefore putting a major dent in the region's plan for a single common currency. Now, a good question to ask is, could France be using the Francophone ECO as a Trojan horse to seize control of the wider ECOWAS single currency plan? Or are they hijacking the single currency plan in an effort to sabotage the wider ECO currency plan? So what is in it for France? Now, France has never hidden its ambition to extend the West African Economic and Monetary Union to the remaining West African countries. For instance, former French Economy Minister and IMF Director Dominique Strauss-Kahn said this in a report in 2018. In the report titled Franc Zone for Emancipation for the Benefit of All, he expressed a desire on this very fact. A similar viewpoint appears in a report coordinated by another former French economic minister, Hervé Gaiman, in a report titled Reviving France's Economic Presence in Africa, the Urgency of a long-term collective ambition. So France is not prepared to give up its domination by currency, its last remaining instrument for protecting its economic interests on the continent. Now, Nigeria and the rest of the Anglophone-speaking countries and Guinea-Conakry reacted to this decision made by these 8 CFR countries and interprets the unilateral move by these countries as a ploy by France to retain and eventually expand its influence to the rest of West Africa at the expense of their economies. Now, soon after that, the president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, had this to say. Now he affirmed his country's readiness to join a new currency union, but not on the terms set forth by Macron and Ouattara. Also, in January 2020, 6 Anglophone West African countries, Gambia, Ghana, Liberia, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and French-speaking Guinea-Conakry, issued a joint statement denouncing Macron and Ouattara's program. In June 2020, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari tweeted that the French-speaking country's decision to create a new common currency unilaterally implies a lack of trust in the other ECOWAS countries, and indicated that his country would not join. So this is a major blow to the single currency plan for integration in ECOWAS regional bloc. So the ECOWAS is expected to boost economic development in the West African region and improve cross-border trade with the African Continental Free Trade Area AFCFTA agreement, which is set to eliminate tariffs on goods and services, the adoption of a single currency, if successful, will facilitate trade, lower transactions, costs, and facilitates payments amongst ECOWAS countries. The question now is whether the two groups will be able to repair the breach of trust and work towards the single currency objective. Will ECOWAS ever achieve greater trade and financial integration with or without a currency union? And until next time, thank you for watching.